Welcome to Las Películas Sábados Gigantes at the Cinemarijuana Theatre. That's right. That's right.
Yay.
We are a cinema appreciation society that meets and greets weekly to discuss. Am I going to do that every fucking week?
Well, that's a good joke.
That meets and greets to discuss this movies in an elite fashion.
Autographs are $20.
It's where the elite meet to greet.
Photos with your
movies.
own camera, $5.
And we never know what we're going to watch in advance, but we sure know what we're going to talk about before we talk about it.
Are we even?
Yeah,
elite?
basically. This gets it.
We're not really very elite.
Yeah.
In fact, we're about as unelite as it gets.
That should be noted.
So yes, this week
I think
we're
Zeb has a real strong elitist
elitist streak.
He's the most elite of us.
I suppose
He's got
that-
some credentials.
You just don't question it, man. I'm telling you, you're the most elite.
Well, Garrett kind of
There you-
elevates
there you
us
have
when
it.
he's
Okay,
here.
I'm sorry, Garrett. When Garrett's here, he's the most elite.
Well, I think we need to.
Garrett's actually published. I'm not. Maybe I'd have like a letter published in Playboy. That's about it.
I think we need to
Your
make it
penthouse
clear
letters.
here for our listening audience that there is a distinction between elite and elitist, and I think that's
Yeah,
what
I think
that
Garrett's elite,
Jason
and I
is
think
getting at.
Zeb is elitist.
Oh, I'm elitist. I'd be the first one to tell you I'm an elitist.
Well, it brings balance to this force.
It doesn't.
This movie bullshitting
Hey, Ed,
about
who
force.
are we?
We are Las Películas Sábados Gigantes. The cinema one. Oh yeah, hey, that's right.
We're past that part.
Wait. I didn't say we were here to watch yet. I got to say that, and then we'll say who we are.
All right.
We are here to watch from 2009 Sherlock Holmes, starring Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law, directed by Guy Ritchie, and
And we should mention this is part of our
And,
theme.
like a Guy Ledouche on MXC. Right. And
His name was not Guy.
Yeah.
it was spelled Guy,
But they called
just
him
like
Guy.
what? That's not you
Oh.
don't really pronounce it Guy.
In French, you do.
Anyways, and it was written by Michael Robert Johnson, who wrote the screenplay, Anthony Peckham screenplay, as well as others. So congratulations to others. Seeing your name up in lights.
Sounds like somebody was in developmental hell.
Yes. So before we
Trumbo.
get started on talking about this film and other nonsense, let's introduce ourselves. Clockwise, start with me. I'm Ed.
I'm Zeb.
I'm John.
I'm Raul.
I'm Chris.
I'm a huge disappointment.
I'm Matt.
Okay. All right. So we are down a regular member tonight. Kenzie is not with us tonight. She is
R.I.P. Kenzie.
R.I.P.
Yeah,
she has
sorry.
died.
She got the HIV.
From watching.
She
Rant
done
and
Charlie
Rants.
Sheen.
She took Charlie Sheen to the bone zone.
Yes.
And she caught his AIDS.
Drank
the
too
wrong
much
time.
tiger blood.
Yeah.
Yes, far too much. She couldn't handle the warlock nut. Is what I
Tiger milk.
understand.
Or was the
Actually,
Adonis,
yeah.
it might have been the
Is that
Adonis DNA.
is that what? Oh, okay, sure. I'm not. He's got so much great stuff
He's got
going
so
on.
much
It's
stuff going on.
It's difficult for me to say for sure.
Would somebody like to give a quick synopsis of this
Yeah,
movie?
so that's what I was going to say. If somebody wants to,
basically, it's about two guys.
Kenzie, where did you come from?
And one's hot, one's not.
all right.
You think Kenzie would think only one of those two
There's
guys
no
is
way
hot?
that
No,
they're
she
both
would get a
the
gay
bones.
thing.
well,
There's some
I
double
would-
penetration, double anal going on in that.
certainly,
situation.
Whoa.
certainly a spit
DVD,
roaster
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
In
that's
this,
not
in this Guy Ritchie's.
Apparently
Ken
Zeb's
has a
Victorian.
spit roaster.
Yeah, apparently Zeb's expecting her to get packed like a suitcase. Sheesh.
Actually, there's a move from back in the day. Me and Chris like to call penetration. I think it,
Let's just
Please
go
explain.
on right
I
now.
think they call it airtight in some circles.
Oh, like
Anyways.
airtight granny number 29.
Anyways, yes, that's
28
a
was
that's a
better.
whole different podcast.
29 is better than 28.
So now that we've had the synopsis out of the way, typically this is the point in the broadcast where we go to Kenzie for the Bone Zone. So let's go to Jason Land as the most likely person here to fuck a guy next to Kenzie.
Yeah, you're up.
Let's talk.
You're the next
Jason.
best expert.
I may be the most likely guy to fuck a guy, but I don't know, Ed, you're like the most desperate.
Well,
sometimes.
okay, no, that's true.
Any
That's
port
true.
in the storm.
And
Well,
actually,
but the bone zone's more relevant from your.
but
perspective.
between the two of us, I think I would be the more likely to fall in love with a guy. I think you're more likely to fuck him and move on.
That's very accurate.
Because you're cold. You're cold as ice, Jason Land.
Yes,
that's what it is.
cold as ice. So, Jason,
Yeah, cold as ice.
tell us who was in your Bone Zone for this film.
I'm going to go for the obvious Robert Downey Jr., but the Dark Lord thing, could work pretty well.
Mark Strong.
Yeah,
the-
Mark
Yeah,
Strong.
Oh, Dark Horse.
Yes. Oh, this is gone.
Nothing for Watson though, huh?
No love for Jude Law?
Yeah.
What about
Orla
Rachel,
Strand?
Rachel McAdams?
Yeah,
No?
what about those girls?
Oh,
Maybe get some
I thought
reverse
Kenzie
Bone
only
Zone?
rates men.
Well, no, she.
Well, switch it up anyway.
I think the
it's
Bone
girls, I
Zone's
think.
sort of all inclusive.
Well, and we certainly don't want to. We don't want to put any. We don't
Oh,
want to
well,
corral
actually,
you in.
I got in an argument with someone last week. I forget who it was, between Rachel McAdams and John Watson's bride-to-be.
What was her name?
Kelly
Who?
Quinn, I believe, is.
Who was I
show,
discussing
Show me a
this?
picture
It wasn't me.
in our
Maybe I was arguing this with Garrett then.
possibly
But
in our
Kelly Riley,
Who
who
else
played
was
Mary.
Who else was here last week? Who's not here today?
I like the
Kenzie
redhead
and
more.
Garrett.
you know, I'd probably.
I don't know. Rachel
thinking,
I thought Rachel McAdams was like in some sort of other league than anyone else on the cast, and someone's like, Kelly McQuinn or whatever her name is.
Kelly
Who's-
Riley.
McAdams is a redhead, right?
McAdams is a thief that Sherlock
Point
is
of
into.
personal
Yeah.
privilege, sir. True Detective Season 2, Rachel McAdams and Kelly Riley are in it together. Rachel McAdams is blonde, Kelly Riley redhead.
Who is Kelly
Smoking.
Riley
Now
in True
that would be
Detective?
interesting to see.
No.
It's like the
Oh, she
mirror
was Vince
mirror.
Vaughn's
Because
universe.
wife.
Switch it.
Oh, Vince Vaughn. So you're talking about season 2.
I wonder if it's
Season
the hair
2.
color.
Okay, I haven't
The
seen
season
that.
that no one should see except for Kelly Riley's boobs.
All right.
Stick to Season 1.
There you have it.
Child molestation trumps whatever the hell is going on. Too.
Rachel McAdams' butt is a stunt butt, is what I heard for True Detective season 2.
Stunt butt. How dare you, sir?
Fail.
The fucking idea of a stunt, but it's
That sounds like a 70s exploitation flick. Stunt butt.
But no,
follow-up to Stunt Rock.
I would let Rachel McAdams steal the treasure from my jewels any day of the week.
All right. Excellent. So
Sweet.
so a heavily Bone Zone
Loaded.
laden. Many Bone Zone selections in this film. A very pretty film.
huge load for the Bone Zone.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Gonna be lots of cleanup in
Isn't
that
that
Bone
what,
Zone.
what you? Isn't
No,
that-
no
isn't
one,
that
no
what
one,
you-
no one here is going to speak up for that French wrestler dude who could like bend you in half.
Kurgan?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, the wrestler
Okay,
Kurgan.
You know what? Actually, it is funny because he typically looks. I only really know Kurgan from wrestling.
He was in the oddities.
Right,
He wore
and
a-
he wore that ridiculous hat that looks like from those guys from that episode of Star Trek, a Taste of Armageddon.
Yeah, it was like a leather cap, and he had like a tie-dye shirt
and
on.
he looked like a dumbass. But
Like
in this, I was like,
Frankenstein boots.
I was
I
like,
think
Kurgan's
he
actually
couldn't
looking
talk.
pretty nice. Like he's actually not. He's fairly attractive. I would
think
imagine.
if a
I
huge man was
surprised.
gonna
If
like
I
that was
was a
gonna rape
chick-
me, it'd be better if he spoke French, because then it'd be like
This sounds
Yeah.
like sweet, like
Makes
Yeah.
So
Boom.
then you could, well,
Chris.
maybe you could
At
write
least
it
this
off
is a
like
little-
maybe he's making some kind of mistake and doesn't understand English.
Oh, there's
so,
that
like,
too. I was just thinking it'd be.
Oh
a
no,
little
he
bit
doesn't
more
mean to be
romantic
raping
because,
me.
You
He
know,
just thinks he's just lost or something.
He was
Why
also
is he raping you now?
I did.
Yeah.
he was
well,
also in
When did it
Pacific.
become the rape
Pacific
zone?
Rim?
for Chris.
He was
not
also
Red
in
Zone.
Pacific
Sorry,
Rim
I
as
focused.
the Russian dude of the two who piloted the Russian.
Cherno
Jaeger.
Alpha.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of stuff. I wonder why he's not working for the company. Vince, you'd figure Vince would like. He's big. He's big. He's pretty. He's
He
obviously
went, when they
physical
dissolved the
still.
oddities, he went to Mexico and wrestled for a while, and then he started acting. I think he got onto the set of some movie that was they were filming in Mexico.
And he caught the bug.
And he caught the bug, and that's what he does now. Is he acts.
Got it.
He was in
All right.
300. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. He,
Oh, figures he would be in that.
all right. Well, so there you go, Kurgan. Congratulations. All
In
right.
the Bone Zone.
So
Or
you're
Bone Zone.
welcome to the Bone Zone, Kurgan.
Do you
I'm sure
guys
you're
send
gonna-
everyone that's in the Bone Zone like a little trophy? So
We
then when they get in their
should.
mouth,
We
they're like,
should
what the
start
fuck
doing
is
that.
this for?
I think I could design it.
It's like a little golden bone on a little like wing.
Go
Go
Go to the dollar store, buy those little bone squeaky things, spray
Spray 'em
them
gold.
gold, and then mail them off to whoever's in the Bone Zone.
That's a great idea.
Bonesies.
We should usher that
Say
in.
courtesy of
Yeah,
Kenzie.
put them on like a little plaque, and on the plaque you paint like a little caution tape circle around it or something.
The fuck, I want
The
a
zone.
Wonderful idea.
Okay,
Okay, all right. Let's get cracking, shall we?
All right.
Let's not keep the hounds at bay any longer.
Yeah. Well, we should start and find out why.
Yes,
we picked
and
this
as
movie,
we've
picked this movie.
as we've consolidated it now, Jason, we're going to start with you. You got 3 minutes to tell us why you selected this movie for our theme, which I forgot to mention.
That's
we're in
right.
the middle of. This was round 4, I believe, of Chicks Before Dicks, Bros Before Hoes, the bromance,
3 or 4.
womance. I think it was the 4th
Oh yeah,
selection.
you were 3.
Yes.
Sisters before misters.
So,
Deuteruses before uteruses.
yes. Okay. All right, Jason, talk to us about Sherlock Holmes. Go ahead.
I actually remember this film. Maybe it's just the atmosphere of last week, and we had the intermission, but I remember it being a lot better. Like I was so excited. I haven't seen this in a couple of years. When I saw it, I when it first came out, I saw it 2 or 3 times in theaters.
Oh wow.
Because something about like the Sherlock Holmes that was like kind of updated like that, because I hadn't watched the Benedict Cumberbatch one at all. This one seems he was just like a lot more entertaining than I ever thought Sherlock Holmes had a right to be.
He's definitely a new, fresher, hipper Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, exactly, and just something
younger,
about their
like-
banter. Like when I used to think like Lethal Weapon for like bromance movies.
Sure, yeah.
For like the classic one.
Yeah.
And then now when I think bromance movies, I tend to think of this one just because like when I saw it in theaters, I was just so I just wanted like a TV series, like an HBO TV series of these guys. Yeah, not even solving big mysteries where like, the fate of London is at risk. Just like,
best part of Lethal Weapon. Diplomatic immunity. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
And even though he's like very much like a slightly flawed, but not really, Mary Sue, or I guess Gary Stu in this case.
Yeah, Gary Stu.
It was still like a really like easy to take Gary Stu.
Well, and Holmes is that kind of character. I mean, there's always those people it's like you almost sometimes root for them to lose because they're like just the winningest.
There are far too many of those in my life.
Well, that's what. Yeah, and Holmes is one of those guys. Like he lost basically one time. He's one of those guys. Like one time he gets outsmarted, and that's so it sort of fits.
Really sticks in his craw.
It does because he's used to being the tops. So in this way they make him just the tops with a lot more than just.
And then there's like
solving
that
crimes.
slightly sort of like maybe gay undertone going on with Watson. Like he didn't want him to marry. Like he was straight up cock blocking his bro.
Yeah, well, he definitely didn't want the wife or coming in for sure, getting in the way.
But the
we've all been
soundtrack
there.
is just as great as I remember it. It's Hans Zimmer. Not doing a
In
boing.
great
for once.
demand these days.
Yeah.
My goodness,
Yes,
dude.
it
It's
is.
fucking after I mean, not that was the first work he did, but he really is a prolific guy now.
He did that in collaboration with someone else whose work I played at after the movie. But like the cinematography was like great at like doing in old London. The music was impeccable. Like their dialogue was surprisingly good. Like I can't tell if it's realistic, but it felt like an old London rather than just putting on a stuffy accent and like saying a few outdated words. Like they had like these weird references and whatnot. I'm trying to remember a couple, but it's just I don't know, whoever wrote the dialogue, at least between the two guys, Watson and Sherlock Holmes, I just thought they nailed it.
Yeah.
It's most likely
Because good quality slang.
Ed did point out, or maybe it was you, John, I forget who it was, like, it is kind of like a mumbly movie, though. Like, you really do want a quiet environment to talk about this. I mean,
Yeah,
to watch the movie.
watch it.
Because there's so many, like, little, like, just out of the corner of their mouth, practically, at each other.
three
so.
guys wrote the screenplay: Michael Robert Johnson, Anthony Peckham, and Simon Kinberg.
I don't know screenwriters at all, so I
So
wouldn't.
one of those guys, or a
Yeah.
combination of them.
So 3 words?
Okay, so 3 words. Yes, 3 words.
God, I always forget to think of the 3 words. Like, great hip Sherlock.
Excellent. We should change the name of the podcast to 3 words.
Great hips, Sherlock.
Great hip. Great, comma, hip.
Grapes?
Great hips,
Grapes?
Sherlock.
Feminine
Okay.
step.
Okay. All right, Dr. Matlis.
Oh, we're just going right in a circle.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we
Yeah,
sort
we
of
decided
figured
that's
that
better.
was
All right,
just.
all right.
yeah.
Because otherwise
Yeah,
you're kind of
mixes it
jumping
up.
around.
Mix
here.
it up
true.
a little bit.
Yeah.
You were not with us last week, but I imagine you have seen this film.
Yeah,
and if not,
I
tell us
have.
about what you did last week.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's hear. Did
How
you
was
go
your
back?
holiday?
Oh, it was just fine. Well, so yeah, I obviously wasn't here last week, but I have seen this movie. It has been a little while since I've seen it, but I remember good things about it, and I do like the whole relationship between Watson and Holmes. I think it really kind of accentuates kind of their kind of codependency.
Wonderful
in a way.
chemistry between them.
Yeah, absolutely, and the dialogue that's written for them just really comes across as genuine. There is some real feeling between them, and I just kind of I liked how without Watson's help, Sherlock just kind of like left to his own devices, just kind of just dissolves into this like
Spins
you
in
know,
circles.
Yeah.
spins down the drain. yeah, Watson is really there just to like keep them together, and at the very beginning, obviously, like it's been a while since he's had a case, and he's just sitting in his room, brooding for what seems like what had to have been like weeks or months, who knows, but. I just like how Watson comes in and just kind of dusts him off and gets him back on his feet.
Yeah,
I remember
It's like shades of Beckett.
a little bit.
And King Henry, kind of.
I do remember not being too thrilled with Rachel McAdams' acting in this movie. I can't exactly remember why.
Just not super convinced.
That might have been it. I might need a refresher on this movie.
How long's it been since you've seen it?
I don't know, 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like me too.
Other than that, I don't know what else to say. It just not being here last week.
All right. Well, you have
left it.
3 words you want to give us? A 3-word review to sum up Sherlock Holmes?
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right. What better way to say it? What better way to say it? All right. It is. Maybe he meant happy thanks. And giving.
Happy.
Yeah.
Like
Thanks.
happy thanks while
Giving.
giving.
Okay.
Right. All right. My turn.
Yes.
All right. Sherlock Holmes.
Three
So I
syllables.
saw this movie when it came out when I worked at Blockbuster. It was a free rental, so I saw it.
Frontal.
Now, I must add the caveat for this screening, as it was our holiday potluck. I spent a good percentage of the film in the kitchen, tending to a turducken that absolutely refused to fucking temp out.
like every housewife, like every good housewife in the world, you were busily sweating over a piping hot stove.
Yes, but I did.
Wow, the gender roles really steps out with John here.
I
when it
did,
comes to Thanksgiving.
I saw a bunch of the film though, and like I said, I've seen it before.
Sexism.
So the couple of things I've noted about this film, like number one, obviously the chemistry and the stuff between Jude Law and Robert Downey Jr. is like fantastic. Like I almost wish they could have found.
I would even say crantastic.
It's almost like it's that show Vicious with Ian McKellen and oh damn it, the guy he was in the King's Speech. The name
I
of
don't
the
know
Jacoby.
Colin Firth?
Jacoby, I think his name.
I
is.
don't know
Peter
the guy,
Jacoby?
but-
That's it. That's
No,
it.
no, that's the professor. Derek.
Derek Jacoby. It's Jacoby. It's something
Yeah.
Jacoby. Anyways.
But yeah, I know the show where they're the gay couple.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Well,
yeah.
like, dude, like,
Derek Jacobi.
I want the Sherlock Holmes the show where like every week, like I get to see these two together because they're so fun and awesome together. As far as Guy Ritchie goes, for me, this is like starting to show that maybe he like isn't just like trying to suckle at the Tarantino teat. Because not that I'm not a fan of his other films, Long Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch and Rock and Rolla and all that shit.
Or Swept Away.
I didn't see that one. But it just seemed to me that he kind of was trying to like, or intentionally or unintentionally, he sort of seemed like somebody wanted him to be Britain's answer to Tarantino, and that didn't exactly sit well with me. But I feel with Sherlock Holmes, he's gone on to ripping off Tim Burton as well. So it's like he's really coming up.
Wait,
in the
at what
world.
part?
Sleepy Hollow. I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm being hyperbolic. I don't consider it a rip off of Sleepy Hollow, but I did. One of the things I did enjoy about it is that it was reminiscent to me of Sleepy Hollow. One of the things
can
I like
see, like,
about
the-
Sleepy Hollow. Well, I mean,
The color, temperature, the atmosphere.
yeah. Well, and sort of, I mean, there's similar temporal settings, and you've also got this kind of this heartthrob Yank playing like this sort of. Doing like a British accent and
Yeah.
kind of playing this
I
eccentric
can
like
see with the
detective.
Ichabod Crane, Sherlock Holmes. kind
Right,
of thing.
right.
There are some similarities.
Yeah.
there.
So I'm a
Sweeney
huge fan
Todd,
of
Old
Sleepy
Victorian
Hollow.
England.
Right. So that was something I enjoyed about it. And Mark Strong, of course, is the goddamn business. He is super rad because he's like a chameleon.
I love seeing him on the cast. I'm like, oh, so he's the villain then.
Yeah, well, because he's like one of the things that I love about like the actors that I really get into, like take Gary Oldman for example, who I'm a huge fan of. It's like he transforms into these like characters, and like you don't see Gary Oldman. All you see is the character, and Mark Strong is kind of the same way. Where
He's
he's
not
sort of,
that transformative.
For me, he kind of is. The difference between this and the dude in whatever his name is, fucking Red Mist's dad in Kick-Ass. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
I thought
both
he was-
bad
Oh,
guys,
yeah.
but they're both bad guys. But there
know,
are
very
no
different characters.
similarities.
Like when you realize you're like, oh, well.
Yeah, and that's part of why, because I'm usually pretty good with faces, and it took me a few. I was like, and they're like, oh yeah.
And you don't get a lot of that in movies today. Most people, especially the big name
yeah.
actors, always play themselves.
Oh yeah, that's right. Robert Loggia did die.
Robert Loggia.
Which is funny because on my radio show I was talking about Raul Julia and how it's such a bummer when they go out on their worst film, because Raul Julia went out on Street Fighter, and Robert Loggia went out on Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie. Which is actually a fan that John and I are tremendous fans of. I don't think that's a bad movie at all. I adore that film.
Ray Wise, good health.
Ray
to you.
Wise, oh yeah, it's got a great cast. But anyways, all right, so
Robert Loggia.
my 3 words for Sherlock Holmes in honor of the refused attempt turducken. Fuck you, Prudhomme. Zeb, tell us about
right.
Sherlock Holmes.
It's been a while since I've seen this movie, and it's a great film to watch over a celebration like last week when we celebrated our turducken Thanksgiving.
Yes,
That's how I felt. It was definitely, there's certain movies that have that holiday vibe. The kind
that
of,
holiday
this certainly
gravitas.
oh, yes, that holiday gravitas, motherfucker. The
So-
kind of shit that they're going to show on
I knew Connie would say
TBS, TNT.
I thought that word
Something
was
like
also
that.
verboten.
Yeah.
Is that one on the list too?
Let's
don't know.
let's make
No,
it.
we
No,
can't,
no,
no.
no.
Well,
Let's
no, 'cause
let's
it's
keep
pretty
it
funny.
around.
Trust
It's
me,
pretty
I
funny.
am down putting
Classic
on the
has yet to be funny, but gravitas has become
Gravitas
Especially if
is
it comes
funny.
from John.
All right, okay, sorry, go ahead.
But it's a great film to pair with the holidays because it's fun. Not only is it fun, but it's a great introduction to Sherlock Holmes, who, for anyone that hasn't read or seen any Sherlock Holmes movie, because if you read the books or if you watch the Basil Rathbone films, they're kind of boring. I'm sorry, they're kind of boring. Because if you read the books, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle perfectly illustrates like Holmes's autistic spectrum, his Asperger's, that doesn't translate well to the early films of Sherlock Holmes. This one does. You actually see Sherlock analyzing every piece of information.
You read that as Asperger's?
Yes. Or obsessive
All right.
compulsive.
All right,
I
We
got
could
the
go
same
balls
vibe.
deep on that if you
we're
want.
coming back to this.
Where he's like,
His
oh,
lack
that-
of social grace is really
yeah, that specific chalk indicates he's a professor. Oh, mud on your boots indicates that you were going trust this. Blah 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 blah. So I thought that was really great. How this film really,
That's pretty good.
you
That
know,
was pretty good.
I thought the movie
I'd
was
say
playing
Conan
in the
Doyle.
background.
I'd say Conan Doyle had written that.
yeah, he was on absinthe or some shit like that. It's like, no one's gonna read this shit anyways. I'm a genius. But it's great because there's also action as well. It's not quite as stuffy, but you get the Sherlock Holmes vibe to introduce this character to a new generation. Granted, the generation back in the 30s when this, they started making all the Holmes films and the Holmes radio play, they were of a certain mindset. This generation here, we're of a different mindset from the film goers and film consumers of 60 years ago. So this is a perfect introduction to Sherlock Holmes.
You said more action packed, but wasn't the original Holmes in the books kind of like a bit of a pugilist?
He was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Why
So
would they
that
omit
whole
that?
that
That's
whole
weird.
scene about him, fighting the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see
It's a
it by that
certain
Irish guy.
it's a certain style of boxing that the books say Holmes is a master of that really doesn't get translated into the early films of Sherlock Holmes.
That's weird. Why they wouldn't include
Fisticuffs.
that
So that's why I
They
say
did, though.
this
They
this
had
is
that
a
fight scene.
great introduction
in
to
old
Sherlock
films.
Holmes.
In old Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, in the old ones, no.
In
Yeah,
this
Yeah,
one
that's
they
what I'm
do.
saying.
Queensberry
the old-
rules.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And that's
fisticuffs.
one of the reasons why they're a little is they're not quite as
Pugilism.
Be.
I believe it's, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a couple of your neighbors walking their puge, and
Ugh.
never mind. So my 3 words for
He's got a
this,
huge puge.
got a huge puge. It's a great introduction to Holmes. I say this film is more truer to the character in the books. So my 3 words are Holmes, Watson, forever.
All right. All right. John.
Whatever, carved in a tree.
Well, I hadn't seen this movie before. I was glad that Land picked it because he made a chance to see it, and it definitely, like as Ed was saying, it definitely had holiday gravitas.
It had that HG.
It did the HG that we're all looking for. You know, you're gonna watch a movie on a holiday weekend. That's the kind of thing you want. I didn't think it was a great movie as far as the story. All the performances were really good, but the kind of the caper, I guess, was a little like it not. I mean, I don't know. Just maybe
didn't pull you in.
it just didn't pull me in.
It didn't have enough gravitas.
Yeah, you know, it didn't. You know, it didn't have the gravitas that I'm looking for in a Sherlock Holmes story. I've never been a huge Sherlock Holmes fan. I have been to his house in England.
Mm-hmm.
Sherlock Holmes' house?
Yeah, he has a house.
221B Baker Street.
You can go check it out, and you
It's
can
a
see his
nice
home.
museum.
What we
gift
should do
store.
is we should have you read the Baker's Dozen and then rank them by gravitas.
I should, yeah. Some level. Because
Sorry, go ahead.
a bunch of gravitas holes.
Gravitassholes.
Gravitas
Sorry, I just knew that Condi would be twisting that knife if he wasn't dead.
I'm glad that
R.I.P.
you're
Condi.
keeping it in spirit. You're helping him rise from his gravy.
Yes. I'm channeling him.
Hey-
I have his Katra.
Yeah, hey, gravy like Thanksgiving, like it was. Let's see, bringing it full circle. Yeah, but the friendship between Sherlock Holmes and Watson was definitely full of feels.
Don't go too far. Pull it back.
And yes, and it was like there was that one scene where they had sort of like a falling out, and they meet back up, and I think one had thought the other one had died or something, and like you get that they don't want to be emotional because they're guys
And British.
exactly. Well, right, and the British are cold people as a rule, so but then they're still trying to get across that like I'm so glad that you're not dead and that we're still friends, and it had a good vibe, and just Robert Downey Jr. is good in everything that he's in. It's like one of those things that I think it's a vehicle more for the performances than for what's going on, which isn't necessarily a good thing because I maybe prefer a little more depth and actors who disappear into their roles a little more. But it was definitely enjoyable, especially for a holiday. I think it was fun. It was a fun movie.
All right. So give us your 3 words.
Man, I've been having a really hard time thinking of this, but I'm thinking. What's that thing that Holmes always says that he didn't actually say?
The game's
Elementary, My Dear Watson.
Yeah.
My dear Watson.
Elementary,
My Dear Watson. Yeah, I'm stealing that. You said it, but it's mine now. Thanks.
You could have it.
It's like
You could have that one
Jeopardy,
for
I'm
free.
taking it. You didn't buzz in.
MD does.
Yeah, no. My Dear Watson, because that helps to sum up their little buddyship there, which was the point of the movie
Okay.
being shown. So yeah, there you
Excellent. All right, Raul. Tell us what you
She
thought
said
about Sherlock
stiff upper
Holmes.
lip.
I had super mixed feelings about this movie. When I was watching it, I kind of hated a lot of it, but I liked their buddy aspect.
Right.
But then when
I
the
wasn't the only one.
story starts devolving into some fucking Hogwarts caper, and then it kind of lost me because I stopped caring, and I wish I was watching young Sherlock Holmes with the dancing pastries, but there were no dancing pastries in this movie. And the
we were talking
CG
about it last
throws me off as it always does when it's kind of
What's
gross.
the Hogwarts part? What are you talking about?
When they're like, "Oh, we need to find the lion's head," and there's like the tiger's hammer over, the little like clips.
There was
and
that
shit.
supernatural sort of spin to the caper. I mean, because it was like a cult and stuff.
Right.
I mean, I definitely
Yeah,
got
no,
okay.
totally.
Fine.
It actually
Yeah.
was a lot like young Sherlock Holmes in that respect. Now that we're
Right.
talking about it, that's totally right.
That's like what I was saying. Just like with Raul, that I like the performances, but the actual kind of the caper or whatever, I just thought was kind of
And I kind of felt the only people that had chemistry were Robert Downey Jr. and I want to say Taye Diggs, but that's way not Taye Diggs, is it?
Jude Law.
Yes. I felt those were the only ones with chemistry. Like, I didn't buy anyone's romantic relationship at all. And I liked the Sherlock Holmes Jimmy Neutron brain blast stuff when he's fighting. And I wanted more of those brain blasts while he's solving papers, like
that was something I
get
really
in his
wanted a
head
lot
and then
more
like,
of.
part of the window is open and there's some toilet paper on the floor he didn't finish wiping. And I see where he made his
What
exit.
they should have done, they should have brought that back for kind of like the climax.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
however ended up beating the end boss. Basically, they should have done another one of those to kind of
Because they did it right at the beginning and that got me hyped into
yeah,
it.
no, that really would have been cool.
Yeah, and I've never really been a big Sherlock Holmes guy, but it was all right, I guess. At the end of the day, the whole time I was telling myself like, if this is fucking magic, I'm over this movie. If this can't be magic, and if it is, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
They
how I
would
felt
not have
about
that
Lost.
in a Sherlock Holmes movie.
I feel like they came
Just
close.
on principle.
All right. So, what is your 3-word review then of Sherlock Holmes?
It's okay for movie.
Elementary.
Oh, where's the spaces?
Elementary. Okay, Chris.
Okay.
Tell us what you thought of this film.
I managed to write some stuff just while I was sitting here, so here goes.
You're not going to read your question, right? You're saving those for the question
No,
portion.
well,
right?
those
See, those
no,
are balls deep.
The two that for balls deep, I'm saving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Whatever. It was a movie. I kept waiting for him to put on the suit and blow people up.
Like the Iron Man suit.
Yeah. I think he was going to turn into
like
Iron Man.
That'd been great if he had busted like a closet door open. There's like some kind of steampunk Iron Man suit from like the 1800s.
Like a spinning
climbs
gear
into,
instead of like
yeah.
that light. Just all
He's
Awesome.
like burning coal in the chest.
He's got like a hamster and a wheel in his
getting
chest.
it going.
I like
Flying with steam power.
I like family movies that seem to encourage drug use. The men were better looking than the women in this movie.
Nice. Speak of the Bone Zone.
astute-
Lanska takes issue with that.
Astute observation.
Hold on.
Big
Gotta hit that cush.
Hold on. Hold on. I think we're all
There we go.
holding on to that
Hey,
last assessment, really considering that.
That's well, it's true, and I'm glad. I think we were all thinking it, but Chris said it.
I think that was like a mic drop. It's such a profound truth. It like
Okay.
ground
That's
like a
a pipe
podcast
bomb.
to a halt.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
for
what I like to do. The plot seemed to confuse itself at times, even though I didn't seem to care if anything happened to that stinky looking city full of drunk assholes. More like downtown shabby.
Downtown.
Well, it was downtown London or some shit, right?
Downton Shabby.
Okay. Where does the dog shit? And
The one that lives in the house.
is
Probably
that how
constipated.
is that how Sherlock catches the flies for his experiments?
Why would you think, based on what you're presented, that dog was never let out of that house?
Well, he's always right there in that same exact spot. Like,
Yeah, but
the
you
whole
also
movie,
never
he's
see
always-
any of the other characters go to the bathroom. So
Well, but
where
they
do-
maybe
where-
the
where do
dogs-
they shit?
Maybe the
they
dog's been
travel,
trained to
though.
blast
They're
one out the
mobile, they
window.
move around. The
Well,
dog's
isn't that
like-
what they
But
did?
we
in,
never saw
Old
a
England?
latrine.
Yeah, they treat
They're
the
just
dog
like,
and hang
yeah,
its
well-
ass out the window.
Well,
So
just
where would
like,
the
you know,
human
do it,
shit?
do it
I
in
didn't
Japan
see
and
an
put it
outhouse
out.
either.
The dog's
Yeah, they
special
just-
Suck it out the window.
circumstances are that it
Do it.
doesn't move. It's like immobile.
crap out
I
of the
imagine in
window.
the shadows behind it, there's just like a mountain of shit that's just like.
That was way
Yeah,
dumb.
so, like the snow against the overlook in The Shining when like they escape to the hedge maze at the end, like it's all piled up.
But then the shit
Like, this
man
is-
comes with the shit shovels and he scoops it away.
Ye old
Okay,
shitsman.
they should
Yeah,
have
shipman.
they should have
Shit,
got
never
RDJ
shit,
to play Luke
never
Skywalker in the new Star Trek. I feel like more people should have had dysentery.
How do you know they didn't?
His violin music needed more Sendog.
Agree.
Yeah,
I like
you
young
can say that
Sherlock
about
more.
everything, though.
That joke will not be funny
Sit
outside
down.
of this
It's
room.
funny how all of us, I think, in our head, and it's always the same with remakes. It's like, oh, this reminds me of that earlier version of this that I liked a lot better.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
or
one more or two
conversely,
more.
that it needs more Sendog.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
what
two more.
doesn't?
Right, well, that's, yes.
The only thing Sherlock couldn't find was the courage to ask Watson to wed and bed him. And was everyone pompous in that era? Okay, and then the other ones are for. Oh, okay. My 3 words are not my Sherlock. Yeah,
All
it wasn't
right.
my Sherlock.
Nice.
Okay, fantastic.
Chris hitting one out of the park again.
At least the
Thanks.
3 words weren't wed in bed.
I changed my 3 words to wed in bed.
L.E.
I'm stealing those now.
Yeah, elementary. Okay, so also Kenzie did text
All right.
Oh, hey.
from her deathbed before she passed.
Well, that was nice.
My last words
Let's
are about
see.
Sherlock Holmes, the movie.
It just says Kenzie sandwich. That's it.
Yeah, it just says
Is that from Condi?
spit roast motherfuckers. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
She will be.
Something for Bowls Deep. I didn't realize that this was a Guy Ritchie film until like the very end of when I saw it in theaters. Like,
because
'cause
you didn't feel like you were watching somebody trying to do Tarantino.
Well, I mean, I usually don't go as deep as that, but it didn't scream Tarantino to me. And then my experience with Guy Ritchie was Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch.
Snatch. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
I actually preferred Rock and Rolla. Of the three,
haven't
I like
seen it
Rock
yet.
and Roll. Actually, I think I like Snatch the least.
I like Snatch more than Rock and Roll, but I like both. But I like Rock and Roll more than.
And
Do
the
you like
fact that it
eggs?
is a Guy Ritchie film, it's like,
Barrels.
where's the Jason Statham?
Yeah, no
Yeah.
Statham.
Yeah, where was he?
No Statham.
Strangely absent
Yeah,
in this film.
that's
I mean, he could have at least been like a thug of some sort.
No, but her 3 words really quick are RDJ greater than Jude Law, which is like 6 words.
You know.
Okay.
Tell her
No,
she gets
no,
an
wait,
F
I don't
for
know
this
math.
assignment.
Which one
Wait,
is
is
that?
it a greater than symbol?
I don't know. I got to ask the doctor.
Well, what's the alligator face?
Greater.
Let me see.
So
It's eating. It's eating RDJ.
Yeah, that's great.
A greater than.
That means
Jude Law is
RDJ is
greater.
preferred.
Oh,
No,
that
if
mean-
it's eating Robert Downey Jr., then it prefers Robert Downey Jr. If it's open towards, because you draw it like an alligator,
Yeah.
right?
It's
And
eating
it
Robert
wants to
Downey
eat-
Jr.
It wants to eat the one it likes more.
The
Right.
bigger one.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so if it's
The other
eating
one.
Robert Downey Jr., then it likes him more.
Okay.
What
There
was
we
it
go.
eating?
It's eating Robert Downey Jr.
So she says he is greater than Jude
Okay.
Law.
Okay.
And I damn a man amongst us to disagree with her.
He's the better man. He's the better man and the better mate.
Okay. Let's get into some Bulls Deep. Yeah. So
I feel like we should have a theme song you can play for Bulls.
we
Dude,
will.
We need
We
all
will.
transition songs.
There's a whole bunch of production.
Boom-ba-da-doo.
There's a whole bunch
Balls
of
deep.
there's a whole bunch of production shit I want to keep
Balls
teasing and then not producing.
I need a loadable clips on this and just hit
Balls
play.
deep.
We should just.
Actually, I'll have once I get the mixer, I'll do that for all these. I'll have the sampler hooked up, so I'll have.
Okay, so first question on
So,
balls.
anyways,
deep.
all right. So I was kind of, like I said, as I was in the kitchen for a lot, I was kind of hard pressed to think of some stuff. But fortunately, I've got a couple, and we put our heads together. Chris has got a couple as well. So first thing, I guess the first thing I want to get out of the way is that was this film actually a bromance? Right, not trying to bitch here, and that's why I thought we'd bring it up because, like, we can see who feels what. Now, not to say that there wasn't bromantic elements involved in this film, but I believe the argument might be that the quest sort of and everything. It was Robert Downey Jr.'s story. It was his character arc, and even though they were close and tight, and he was a vital part of that. That Holmes was still sort of a supporting character in Holmes' story rather than this story being about the two of them.
Romanticism is a spectrum, yo.
Well, okay, does everybody want to weigh in on this on some level so we can get some kind of consensus going? Anybody want to?
Well, I'll jump in first and say that I think, and I was thinking this during it, as much as their relationship is bromantic, the film itself, I don't think, because I think, basically, I think we were looking for buddy picture as the trope specifically. Like, you boil all the bullshit down, we're saying buddy picture.
Right.
And buddy picture is usually like when, it's like, it's this and that. It's these two characters who are together, inseparable. Whether you've got, whether it's, fucking, Abbott and Costello, or like, Laurel and Hardy, or like, this kind
Penn
of
and
thing.
Teller.
Yeah, Penn and Teller, which is another good one. Like these characters, and although Holmes and Watson is obviously a well-known duo,
Right.
I personally think that the story arc was Holmes's, and like there's stuff with him. There's times when it's him and his girl, and there's times when it's him and the villains, and it's time when it's him and Watson,
Right.
and it's not the two of them together. And it's not, and same thing, no complaint against showing this movie, I think, because they definitely were hardcore romantic buddies.
Right.
But I don't technically think, personally, that this actually was a buddy movie.
They're a triple X
Okay.
buddies.
So, I mean, does that count against Penn and Teller then when they separate?
Well, you
What
can't
do you
really say
mean?
it followed either.
Because
or
Penn, there
Teller.
was a scene where Teller was with the people trying to hold him up.
No,
There's
I
also scenes where
mean
Penn's with the girl.
literally that they should never appear on screen apart during the movie. I mean that like the two people, it's their story. Like it wasn't
can't
it
say
wasn't
it was
Holmes
Penn
and
or Teller,
Watson
yeah.
beating the bad guy at the end together. It was Holmes doing it and Watson wasn't on camera. He wasn't there. Whereas if like I almost don't want to throw anything out from any movies. I want to spoil these future picks because who knows people are going to pick. But
Yeah.
but like whenever you're overcoming in the film,
Well,
is
but Bill and
overcome-
Ted passed the final together.
Right, it's together. It's the two of them together. When they beat Chuck DeNomalos, it's together.
Right.
It's like, and
Got it.
and that's what I'm saying is that they definitely had a romantic relationship, but in the movie, it wasn't the two of them from start to finish doing this thing together. It was
Interesting.
Holmes doing this, and he's got a buddy who he's got this totally romantic relationship with, which is why, like I said, I'm not trying to say like, oh, this pic should have been shown or anything.
Although he was invested in, he's a doctor who committed that man, or said that man was dead, and then he was alive. He's like, can't risk my reputation.
And he was an integral part of it. I'm not trying to downplay his connection at all and say that he was an integral part of the story, but like I forget.
There's definitely romantic
the girlfriends.
elements, but
well, yeah, they were definitely had a romantic relationship.
Is it a true bromance?
But I'm just saying the movie itself, you were to kind of categorize it. I wouldn't categorize this movie as a buddy picture. Like if you you can literally go on Wikipedia and you can wiki like buddy picture and like they'll talk about it. And like if you see the examples of the kind of things that film people consider to be sort of the buddy picture, I don't think this one technically fits.
Although the theme is sticking together is how they succeed. So even though in some of the scenes and maybe there is a string through the movie that favors Holmes, I would say that it still is in a classic buddy pick, it's working together is what gets them through, and I think for sure working together is what gets them
Son of Rambo.
through. Yeah,
sure. Yeah. Well, and everybody
that's
else
true. That's true. Son of
chime
Rambo is
in?
another good example because was it more about the one kid than?
But I feel like the main story with them was still about both of them. Like you didn't have. I don't feel like Holmes went through his own solid story arc.
Well,
there wasn't any story arc that directly involved the relationship between the two. That's what I feel.
Right.
Because like the plot in this was definitely it wasn't dependent on Watson really.
Right.
He was there and they were working together obviously and there is this kind of codependency thing going on.
Right.
And
the relationship is totally that type of relationship.
Yeah, and the thing with Watson getting married and that kind of being a threat to Holmes.
Yeah, it's part of the
there's
B-plot,
that thing,
basically.
but that's not the main story arc. And the I would think like in a buddy flick, the story arc has to do with the relationship between the two.
Right. It's the two of them sort of
according
together.
to the wiki entry under buddy film under the subheading male-male relationships. A buddy film portrays the pairing of two people of the same sex, historically men. A friendship between the two people is the key relationship in a buddy film. The two people often come from different backgrounds or different personalities, and they tend to misunderstand one another. Through the events of the buddy film, they gain a stronger friendship and mutual respect. Buddy films often deal with crises of masculinity, especially related to class, race, and gender.
So would Monsters, Inc. be a buddy film?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think it would be, definitely.
Yeah.
So I think what you have here is you have a buddy relationship going through a non-buddy picture.
Yeah, I think
they had a buddy relationship for sure, but it wasn't like a buddy picture.
the focus of
It wasn't the focus of the main plot. Sherlock Holmes was, and it was his thing, and he's going to be the one who's
Sitting in his room doing opium.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's what he would have been doing, right? Without Watson.
Next question.
Yeah. All right. So
Next issue.
Okay. Moving on.
Jack Joe Monte.
Okay, so let's just talk really quick about this Holmes having Asperger's thing right now.
Okay.
It's funny because my only other question here is I wanted to go around and get everyone's favorite Sherlock Holmes favorite interpretation because there's been many over the years, but it's interesting because I'm actually reading Sherlock Holmes right now because Conan Doyle, the Baker's Dozen, I'm reading right now. I wanted to do research for this script, which is really funny that it would come up on its own and you would pick this film because I was already reading it to do research for the script that I'm running. So
serendipitous.
What and what I'm getting out of it is I don't know that I maybe don't know what Asperger's even really is, but
Did somebody get a hamburger right now?
I know traditionally, yeah, right. I know that Sherlock Holmes is a character who has an affinity for cocaine on some level. Now, I haven't got to where I've read about that yet, but that's kind of in the back of my mind. So it seems to me that he's a guy that just is really good at what he does, and he just really loves fucking figuring shit out, especially when he gets loaded. You know what I mean? What I've been reading is people show up and he's all excited. He's like, I'll fucking take your case for free because he just busted a fucking Grand Rail off the fucking bathroom counter, and he's like, dude, he's like, clues, something to solve. He's like, yeah, and he's got his buddy Watson blowing smoke up his ass about how rad he is, and I'm writing stories about you, Sherlock, and the fucking. So I kind of, because it's weird, because I like I said, not knowing anything about Asperger's, I kind of see that as like a weird, like not weird. Forgive me. I don't want to. What's the word? It was. Anyways, I can't remember. There was some buzzword.
JC Principle.
It was one of those. Yeah. Neurodivergent. That's right. I don't want to shame anybody that's neurodivergent.
I do.
But it like is Asperger's, isn't it kind of like an antisocial thing where people are like weirdos or something? Or no, I mean not weirdos. Like, you know what I mean? you see every
shitlords in here.
every
sort of way to Asperger's shame, buddy.
I know, right? Way to fucking make. Trigger
weirdos, they're just
people that are neurodivergent. No, I'm not gonna.
Son of a
I'm
bitch.
not gonna go that far. But do you see? I know so little about it that I'm not getting.
Well, and I don't know exactly a lot about it, but I know it is about people. It's sort of similar to being obsessive compulsive. It's like they don't.
It's like advanced.
Well, I thought it was more like in the autism spectrum.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
is.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
it doesn't necessarily have to be. I mean, there's this sort of. Kind of like the Rain Man stereotype, right? Where you're Asperger's or you're
Or even like Lou from Nightcrawler, you know?
Right. Okay. Yes.
Where it's like,
That's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
you
They can
are
function,
socially
they can
awkward, but you have all
socialize.
these other
Psychopath.
skills, and it's like that's not like a general statement that you can make, you know.
Okay.
But it just I can kind of see.
Like the mystery solving would be his compulsion,
Nightcrawler,
sort of.
Well,
there definitely was
like if you were to talk to him
enough of
about
a
something
kind of
non-criminology
social sort of
related,
thing
you'd
going
be
on.
like,
Huh?
"Huh?" It's like, well, I deal with a lot of students on the spectrum.
Right.
There are some that are very nonverbal, you know, very spatial, where they don't want to talk to you, they don't want to be touched, they just want to be left alone.
Why would you be touching your students anyway?
Well, like shaking their hands, you know, grabbing their ass.
Fist bump.
I
Hugging
mean, when
them.
Ed first started off, you know, I was like, Ed, get your cheeky asses over here. I want to
Yeah.
squeeze them.
They used to have their tickle time
Yeah.
after every class.
that's a
ball gargling sesh.
that's a common
Took the
thing,
time
being
in the wrong pit.
overstimulated.
Yeah,
really easily
and we do
is,
have this one kid, and he always came in with headphones because he was being overstimulated. But if we were to say, all right, everybody write a script for a radio play, his would be like the best one around because he's obsessed with radio plays and radio broadcasts.
Okay.
And as compared to somebody who's like, oh, I want to be on the radio, I'm all about radio, blah, 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 they would write shit.
Okay.
And
Almost
like
being like a savant, sort
this,
of.
yeah, this
Yeah.
is weird because
Like, yeah,
Or
this,
an
like-
autodidact.
Right,
I
like having like
suppose.
this strong obsession with a certain thing but then they're obviously really skilled at.
Right.
Yeah, and there's also the other end of the spectrum where somebody is, you know, they could socialize, they can meet with other people, but they're very obsessed about specific types of things.
Right.
And we have another student whose major is in the sciences. He can identify any types of sand that you present to him. So if you went to the beach, grab some sand, went outside this complex, grab some sand,
He'd
and
know
show
they
it
were
to him,
different.
he'd be like, oh, that sand was collected in Oceanside off the Oceanside Harbor, and its scientific name is this. That's a traditional landscaping form of sand that's found in blah, 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 blah. And he collects where all this sand comes from.
So there's a spectrum of sort of the anti-socialness to it.
Yeah, it just depends on where you are on the spectrum.
Okay.
Some of us in here may be even on the spectrum because we know so much about films.
I wouldn't.
but
Say,
yet
dude, I gotta have something wrong with me.
That,
I don't
that's
know
well.
what the
That's
fuck
why.
it is,
That's
but
why
I
I'm
know
saying
there's
like
gotta be
all
something.
these sports jocks. They're like, dude, bro, blah blah, fantasy sports. I'm like, you're on the fucking spectrum because because I could say like, list me the quarterback that played in the Padres in 1942 or whatever.
wait, dude, that's like me
think
with like Twilight Zone and
not
shit.
that
Like,
we can
tell
actually
me
do
all
that.
the episodes John Denner was in.
Well,
Like,
that's
No, like
okay,
no. Okay,
That's
here,
where
hear
there's
me
not
out.
too big of a division sometimes, I think, between like nerds and like sports fans.
Yeah, 'cause you
so it's all
everybody's
yeah.
obsessed
and
with something.
any of the sports fans, like, hey, who was the quarterback for the Chargers in 1988? And they'll be like, oh, it's this person. He had this many touchdowns. He had this. He had that. He had this. And they go, oh, they're all the stats on
I
it.
think it was Billy Joe Tolliver.
I don't give a shit.
How many touchdowns did he have?
BJ
No, I get-
Where you
Okay.
get somebody on the other end of the spectrum who's not sociable, likes sports, may not like to advertise that they like sports, but they could tell you everything there is
Right.
about the sport's history.
Well, I thought that comparison to
Thank you.
Jake Gyllenhaal, Nightcrawler, that like I never considered that, but that's pretty interesting
Yeah.
because I don't know, like I could kind of see like Sherlock Holmes, and I actually based on what I read, I can kind of see like the similarities between the two characters. You know what I mean? Not to say necessarily that Sherlock Holmes is sort of has as custom a morality as what's the face from Nightcrawler, but that's an interesting comparison.
Well, bringing up the point of like overstimulation, there's that scene in the restaurant where Sherlock Holmes just starts wigging out because he's almost telepathic, listening to everything possible and noticing everything.
Right.
So he hides himself away in his room with his dog and shooting guns at the wall.
Because like he can't
Like
get away
most
from the clues.
people with Asperger's do, always shooting at walls,
Yeah, like
drugging their dogs.
So
That's fact.
So would you say then that that this take on Sherlock Holmes was would be on a different part of the Asperger spectrum than
It's-
Conan Doyle's?
He's on there.
Sir Conan
It's
Doyle.
a little more Aspergery, I think.
I like my Asperger's rare with
I like-
onions.
I like mine medium, see, because you got to worry about the ass coli.
Okay.
Animal
Yes.
style.
Yes. The all right. Now, really quick before we get to Chris's questions, I just want to go around the table. We'll start with you, Zeb. I just want to get everybody, if you've got one, their favorite interpretation. Of Sherlock
Another your
Holmes.
favorite interpretation, theatrical interpretation.
Or any,
Theatrical?
any
sure, yeah,
interpretation
yeah.
of Sherlock Holmes that's on the
I know I'm probably gonna get flack from our listeners, but Benedict Cumberbatch, his
the TV show right now.
the TV show, because
That's insanely popular too.
it is very. I feel it's very well done. It's
Martin
a modern.
Freeman,
It's a
too,
modern
I
take
think.
of Sherlock Holmes. When you present somebody with Sherlock Holmes, they're thinking, "Oh, Victorian England, doilies and tea and scones."
Right.
And this one's more like he's using iPhones, he's using social media and blogs. It's an updated version of Sherlock Holmes, but the essence of Sherlock Holmes is still there.
And it's Martin Freeman, right? Bilbo Baggins.
Martin Freeman is
right?
in it, and then
Yeah, he's Watson, right?
I can't,
Nice.
for the life of me, think of who else is in
Bilbo
it.
Watson.
I would
Bilbo
argue
Watson.
he's more on the spectrum than Robert Downey
he's
Jr.
more
Agreed.
Asperger-y.
Agreed.
Okay, John, your favorite Holmes?
I'm going to go ahead with Lieutenant Commander Data from Star Trek The Next
Oh
Generation.
my God, that's mine too.
Yeah. When
I know mine too.
Good thing I beat you assholes to it.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, did you get a look at the nerd?
Well, apparently I'm in good company because, with him and, of course, the ultimate Star Trek nerd, Lieutenant Geordi LaForge as his Watson.
I thought you were going to say as his wife.
As his,
As in so much fan fiction.
You know,
Quite the fanfic.
Right.
But that's a personal favorite.
Okay,
I'm gonna go
Raul,
with.
do you have one?
Young Sherlock Holmes, man.
All right.
I almost went with that one myself.
Psychedelic dancing pastries win every time.
And that stained
That
glass
shit looks
window
badass.
part,
Oh,
that was
yeah,
like
yeah.
Oscar winning, I think.
Chris?
Data, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He does it up right.
Jason?
It's a cross between Robert Downey Jr. and the mouse version, the animated mouse.
Oh, the Great Mouse
Great
Detective.
Mouse
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Disney
yeah.
one. Yeah,
Which
that's a
actually
good
is
one.
really
Baker
has
Street.
become
Yeah.
quite the cult classic because it wasn't a big deal at the box office.
Yeah, that's one of the sleeper hits. That's not one of their
saw it at
huge,
the box
well-known
office.
classics. That doesn't go in the vault and is pretty much. In fact,
Right.
I think it's streaming on Netflix
Yeah,
pretty much
it's
all
been
the time
it's
right
been
now.
pretty much ubiquitous. As
Yeah,
long as they've had
very
home.
available.
The greatest criminal rat. I love that song.
Dr. Matlis?
I would say Robert Downey Jr. If I was not able to pick John and Ed's dad when he wears a Santa hat.
That is his go-to Halloween costume. No bullshit. No bullshit.
Oh
He,
my
yeah,
God,
he'll
that
put
is an
on,
inside joke,
like
but
he's got like
hilarious.
this, like the kind of jacket that's got like the patches on the sleeves.
Deerstalker cat.
Yeah, and he's got.
Does he got the pipe?
Yeah, the
Oh my
pipe.
God.
He's got
He's
the
got
The
the
Cavendish
pipe. He does.
pipe.
He's got the
He does, he
Cavendish,
does.
and he's got the hat, and he's got a magnifying glass.
That's so
I
great.
changed mine. Mine's my dad, too.
And then he'll stand there and slowly sip a glass of whiskey. Every
I'm changing mine
Halloween.
too. Mine is Data as your dad as Sherlock Holmes. He can
And in
do it.
fact,
I would
that
love to
hat
see
will
that
probably be
interpretation.
featured in the Conde Mysteries. I wouldn't
Brent
be surprised.
Spiner are going to be
Yeah.
bringing that interpretation to Broadway.
Let's contact him.
Mine is Data, honestly. Although now that I'm reading the book, I got to say, even though, I mean, as someone who really likes classic movies, not having seen any of the Basil Rathbone ones, despite the trashing they've received here tonight, I feel like kind of a shitheel for not having seen them, or
I
at
wish
least
I'd
one
seen
of them.
them too,
and now
yeah.
I totally want to watch at least
Yeah.
one, even if they're terrible.
But if just an extra, my favorite Moriarty is still John Huston.
Well, I
Nice.
wasn't. I didn't ask because I mean it's John Huston. Like, of course, I figured it for all of us.
Which
Okay.
film is that? Sorry.
Sherlock Holmes in New York
Oh, okay. I had don't
with
know.
Roger Moore as Sherlock Holmes,
Oh wow. I guess
and Patrick McNee as Watson.
Ooh, dude, friends
Dude,
of
wow.
two.
And Charlotte
pretty good.
Rampling as Irene Adler.
1, 2, 3, punch. All right. Well, let's turn bowls deep over to Chris.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Who's
yeah.
got a couple of
I just
questions?
have
Deep
a
in
couple
these
of
bowls,
questions.
Chris.
So,
My balls aren't deep enough, Chris. Come on.
did
To the hilt.
Okay, let me do this one first. Does what the fuck?
Does
Oh,
fuck.
modern technology.
That's
Wait,
very
did I-
astute
Does fuck?
observation.
Did
Does
I
fuck
delete
not?
that one?
Did I type
Sherlock,
that?
I don't think
You
does
had, I
fuck
don't know.
in
You
the
had
movie.
two.
Yeah, what
This
were
guy,
they?
though.
That would
guy.
way
Oh,
overstimulate him.
Here we go.
What was it? Is the movie?
It was
deleted
the
it
metaphor
for some
question.
reason.
It was the
Is the
metaphor
movie
question.
a metaphor for Robert Downey Jr.'s life, the drug use, and the brilliant artistic expression?
Right, like
Autistic
the
expression.
character the version of Sherlock Holmes he portrays in the film kind of mirrors in a way
Yeah.
sort of Robert Downey Jr.'s
Was
trajectory, his sort of story
But wouldn't
arc.
Iron
Feeling that
Man
balls
be
get
more
deep
of
on
that?
that?
I felt
Well,
some
that's
of
what
First
people
Iron Man?
thought. That when people cast him as Tony Stark originally, they thought that was what was so natural about it, was that with Tony Stark dealing with his demons in the bottle and stuff like that, that Robert Downey Jr. was like the perfect person to do it.
Well, is it possible though that that's such an easy sort of allegory to see in something? Actually, there might be giants. There's this word apophenia, which means seeing patterns in shit.
Sure.
Right, the ability to see patterns in shit. Right.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that is it possible that certainly I don't think that would have been intentional on behalf of the screenwriters.
But maybe they.
So is that
Well,
an,
it could-
an apophenic
Or maybe we
interpretation?
It could be a
Because we know.
selection process on the behalf of Robert Downey Jr. He's like, you know what? I kind of see myself in this. This speaks
Yeah.
deeply to me.
Yeah, this appeals
I
to
want to
me.
bring
I would
as
Okay,
much
sure.
profundity as I can to this.
Yeah. I don't want to phone this one in. I
Also,
wanna-
a lot of the time, things like this that seem planned from the start can be serendipitous. Like with a movie like this, like there could have been somebody else who was attached to it,
Right.
like when the script existed, who dropped out, and then Robert Downey Jr.'s cast.
and
so it
is
seems-
able to like maybe dive in a way. That
right, and
wasn't
so it
available
seems
before.
like, oh, they must have been going for that, but it's like, but no, he might have been their third or fourth choice for who's in the role and everything. So
right.
sometimes it just happens to work out like that.
What was that?
Guy Ritchie divorced Madonna. That was his comeback movie.
It was.
Oh,
This
Guy
was
Ritchie
his
divorced
first film
Madonna,
after he
apparently.
divorced Madonna.
Okay.
Wow,
Okay.
that's-
Because he did Swept Away.
Must have been like throwing a hot dog in the hallway.
So then Mark Strong was portraying Madonna.
Mark
In this
Donna. Mark Strong.
Dude,
Strong,
Mark Strong Donna.
Strong dong.
Strong donger. Okay.
And my final, balls deep question is: did Sherlock falter when he got the feels for his slam piece?
Yeah, you got to be careful to not get the feels for your slam piece.
You don't want to get your dick compromised.
That's the beginning of the end, right there.
Yeah, I think he.
It's a mistake too many motherfuckers make.
Yeah, don't do it.
You know.
You know what, America and the world? Because I know you're listening. Don't get the feels for your slam piece.
You got a case to solve?
Keep it business, baby.
How many empires have crumbled
Oh yeah,
as a result of somebody getting the feels for their slam piece?
it's brought down kings. It's brought down presidents. It's brought down CEOs.
We haven't answered the question though for Sherlock Holmes.
Did he get completely the feels for his slam piece? Because if he had it, would he not have run away with her and her Bonnie and Clyde-esque life of crime?
Or at least let her go.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
didn't do any of that.
He did let her go,
Did he? I thought he cuffed her.
and then he dropped the key into
Well,
her cleavage.
But he's
got
got
her
a
right.
feels for
Yeah.
justice. Maybe more.
Maybe justice
Maybe he
is
does
his
have the
slam
feels.
piece.
Does
Justice
Sherlock
is,
have
justice
the
is a
feels?
slam
That's a good line
piece.
for a superhero. Justice is my slam piece.
That's a good T-shirt.
This summer, Sherlock Holmes. Justice is his slam piece.
James Bond
Summer
will return,
2016.
and justice is my slam piece.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason Land, for that terminology.
Thinking back to the film though, like I'm kind of surprised Watson didn't beat himself up more over the death. Like he presumed Snape was dead, and like I'm surprised he didn't torture himself more over that, and then at the end have his comeuppance actually getting the guy. Prah, prah.
He should have been the one to shoot him. But
Yeah.
like, you're dead now, bitch.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I presumed you way dead.
Yeah.
Maybe
Calling that.
Downey Jr. Maybe that was in the script, and Downey Jr. went to him and was like, "Hey, why don't we cut this guy out?
Yeah.
Like, why don't we?"
He Shatnered him.
He Shatnered him. Yeah, totally. He
Like I'm pulling a
he
Shatner.
Shatnered his dreams.
Nice.
I can't tell if that's like a play on shattered or shat in his dreams.
Both.
Just got balls deep. Or bowls. I mean, what?
I think of like deep dicking every time I think of a slam piece too. Just to
Is that
Deep
somebody's
dicking.
name?
just to toss that out.
Well, that's what a slam piece
Like-
get is
It's
a
like
deep
seeing,
dick. That's what happens.
it's like
Turd
seeing Dick Wolf at the
dickin'.
end of.
Is that what you say to your
Inside.
slam piece, John? Like,
Thank
that's
God
what a
that's the
slam
title.
piece gets.
That's what
a
I said.
deep dickin'.
That's what I say to him. Before I drop him
Charles
off.
Dickens' masterpiece, Slam Piece.
And the
The
feels.
turd dicking.
And I don't got no feels for you.
The turd dicking.
You're my slam piece.
I don't think I need to.
It's all the old west.
You're my slam piece, man.
Well, I reckon I ain't got no feels for you.
I reckon I ain't got no feels for you, man.
But
She's just a dumb slam piece.
you can stay on as my slam piece.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note,
I think it's about time we wrap up this sausage fest.
I think now that we're done talking about deep dicking and slam pieces, it's time to go. We're gonna watch something else right now on the bromance womance theme, on the bromance womance tip. We don't know what it is yet, but we'll find out. And we will be back next week to talk about it during our Star Wars marathon.
Oh, is that next week?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
hey, we
next
should
week.
say, just to kind of get the word out, next week then.
You'll
Star
hear about
Wars
it in 2
Marathon. Fucking, 2 weeks from now.
You'll hear us talk about all
whenever
the Star
this
Wars.
is. Unless it's a rerun, in which case I wonder if I'm dead.
Yes, because The Force Awakens was on the 17th, so on the 12th we're watching.
Got my
them all,
tickets.
so. Yeah, we all do actually.
I accidentally
Most
bought
of us.
tickets for Turkish Star Wars.
Oh, man, I'm there,
I'm trading.
dude. I've been.
Is it going to be an RPX in 3D?
I've been dying to
Awesome.
see
Fucking
that.
IMAX that
Turkish
shit.
Force
So may the force be with us all and getting good seats.
Yes. Okay. All right. So we'll be back next week. Thank you for listening.
We got to go around the table and
That's
extraduce ourselves.
That's right.
Thank you
This has
for...
Jesus,
I feel like just write a schedule on the wall so that we don't forget.
And you should just
things.
hook me up to a fucking car battery.
You
so
need
you
one
just
of
give
those
me a
quarterback
fucking
vests.
shock.
Like you can look at your arm and see the plays, you know? Like,
Yeah, I know.
cheat sheet.
Coach, I need a coach. All right, this has been Las Películas Sábados Gigantes at the Cinemarijuana Theatre. I'm Ed.
I'm Kenzie.
I'm John.
I'm Raul.
I'm Chris.
I'm still a disappointment.
I'm disappointed in him too.
We'll be back next week with more Madcap Mayhem. Tune in for sure. Bye.